Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Building a Data Analytics Agent Using Large Language Models. I'm your speaker, Rimsha, for today's webinar. Let's begin our webinar and first see that what we have lined up for today. First we'll begin with the introduction to data analysis agent, what they are, their characteristics or features. Then we'll discuss their practical use or some real world examples. Then we'll do a hands-on session where you'll get a chance to build your own analytics agent. Finally, we'll be concluding by discussing the importance of these agents. And of course, in the end, we'll have a Q&A session and I'll be sharing the resources. Let's get started by first understanding what is a data analysis agent. In simple terms, we can say that a data analytics agent is like a smart assistant that helps you explore and analyze your data using natural language. So instead of writing code or complex SQL queries or formulas or calculations, you can simply ask your agent, for example, what was our monthly sales or what was our quarterly sales, and the agent uh, is going to take care of all the technical work for you. So you do not need to query your data or run any calculations. Now let's take a look at some key features of these agents to have better understanding. So the first feature here we have is the ability to accept natural language prompts. This is a fundamental feature whenever we are working with large language models. So this way, it removes the need to write any complex code or queries. You can simply ask your agent a simple question in natural language, and the agent would take care of all the technical part. Second, the agent has a schema awareness. So what happens? It understands the structure of your data. Whatever tables you're going to provide, it's going to understand the column names, the data types they hold, and can also help you handle some inconsistencies like missing values. Third feature is that it translates your natural language question into executable code. So it understands your question and translates it into code that could be SQL query, it could be a
Hello,
Python
Rimka.
code.
Hello, sorry to
Yeah.
cut you off. The slides aren't moving. You're still on the title page. Can you change your slide?
Oh, okay.
Maybe you can share your
Maybe I
screen
can.
again.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, perfect.
So I hope the slides are visible now.
Yes, the slides are visible and we can see another page.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, so for today, we are going to discuss the introduction to data analysis agent. We'll be exploring some features. We'll do a hands-on exercise. We'll explore some practical uh, use cases of these data analytics agents. And then finally, we'll be exploring the importance of these agents. So let's first start by understanding what data analytics agents are. Okay, so the data analytics agents, in simple term, we can say that it's like a smart assistant that helps you explore your data or analyze your data just by using natural language. So you can simply ask it a question like, "What was our monthly sales?" or "What are the sales for year 2025?" And it's
Hello,
going.
Rimsha. I'm so sorry
Yeah.
to cut you off again. I think the slide is stuck again. Could you maybe try just sharing the slide for now, and then maybe you can search your screen when you have to move to the other screen?
Okay. So, which
Yeah.
slide you are seeing right now?
Uh, it's the one that says what is data analysis agent on the screen.
Yeah. So I am on this slide. I am actually repeating the slide.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Just
Perfect.
making sure everything's all right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now that we know what is a data analysis agent, we can move to explore some of the features of these agents to better understand. So let's take a look at some of these features. Here are a few features of these data analysis agent. So the first feature, it's the ability to accept natural language prompts. So whenever we are working with large language model, we expect this feature, right? So it what happens is that it removes the need to write any complex queries or any complex logic. We can just simply ask our agent a question in natural language, and it's going to take care of all the technical part for us. And the second feature we have is the schema awareness. So the agent has the schema awareness. So whatever data tables you are going to provide to your agent is going to understand the structure of your data set. It knows the column names, it would understand the type of data they hold, and even help you handle some inconsistencies like missing values or inconsistent formatting. The third feature we have here is that the agent is able to translate questions into executable code. So, whatever query you are going to give, the agent would try to understand that query and write code for you. It could write a Python code, that could be a SQL query, some logic, or a code to for generating matplotlib charts, all automatically without needing to provide even a single line of code. Isn't it great? And finally, the last feature we have is so the agent has the ability to return your results in appropriate format by executing the generated code. So now at this point, this might feel a bit abstract. So let's take a look at some analytics tools that are already using these agents. So
So, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but your slides aren't moving. Are you sure you're sharing the right browser? Because it just, it's stuck. Yeah, now it's moving. So, I think you'll have to
okay,
move the slide. Now it's on real world example. Yes, that's what you're talking about, right?
okay, I think I have to manually move the slides. Okay,
Yeah, you'll have to do that. Thank you.
thank you. Okay. So first example we have is about Microsoft Copilot. There's a Copilot agent and Microsoft Power BI that helps write deck measures or generate even visualizations for you. So what you can do is you can just ask it a simple question like list the top five resellers, and it's going to create a measure for you based on your data. It also suggests you some measures or calculations based on your data, and you can also ask it to suggest you some visuals, and it would not only suggest you the visuals, but it would also create some visuals for you based on your data. Then there is Microsoft. Then there is Microsoft Fabric, a Copilot, right? So Microsoft Fabric Copilot, it's a bit more comprehensive, you can say, because it's embedded throughout the analytic lifecycle. And Fabric actually the Copilot, it does not only help in the data analytics part, it also help you with data cleaning, the data preparation, and the transformation. By having you write data flow expressions, generating code in notebooks, or helping you prepare data pipelines, summarizing data, and much more. So the next example we have, so here the next example is about Excel Copilot. So we also have a Copilot in MS Excel, which facilitates in data preparation. It can help you write formulas for your data, and even if you have some data and you want to visualize it some in some way, so you can just ask it to visualize, to create some visuals based on this data. And the Excel Copilot is going to generate Python code and also execute it for you to create those custom visuals, like you can see here. Then the next example we have, it's about W agent. So a W agent, so like the Copilot in Microsoft Power BI, it also the W agent also lets you explore your data dashboards. It suggests you some calculations. Also, you can just simply ask it question like show the total sales per product, and it's going to create a appropriate visual for you. So these are just a few examples that I've covered here. I just want to show you how these data agents are already reshaping analytics space. So I think now it's the great time that we build our own analytics agent. Okay, so okay, now this okay, so now we are going to discuss that what we are going to cover in our hands-on exercise. First, we'll be setting up the environment, and we would need some data. So for that, we are going to use some sample data from Kaggle. I'll be sharing the link and resources later on. And for large language model, we are going to use Quen 332B model that's from Alibaba, and we are going to access it through Grok API. I'll be showing it later that how you can get your own free API, which is free to use and easy to use. Then we'll be asking some questions to our agent to explore that how it works. And finally, we'll be exploring some functionalities of Pandas AI. So you might be wondering that what is Pandas AI? Actually, it's going to be a major component of our exercise. It's going to play a major role in building our data analytics agent. So before we dive in, let's just quickly understand what is Pandas AI. I hope the screen is visible. Yeah. So Pandas AI, it's a Python library. You might already know about Pandas, which is Python library that you use for data exploration or transformation or maybe analysis purposes. So what Pandas AI does, it integrates Pandas with large language models in order to make it easy for us to ask questions to our data to understand or explore our data in simple natural language. So now that we have an idea what is Pandas AI, let's look at this high level overview of Pandas AI to better understand how it works. So you could see that Pandas AI lies in between the user and the LLM. It means that it acts as an interface, or you could say acts as a bridge between the users and the large language models. So what happens is that you can simply ask a question about your data and it would be passed to Pandas AI. Pandas AI is going to process that data. It's going to process your request and add some more instructions and send those instructions along with your request to the large language model. And our LLM, it's going to generate code based on those instructions, and Pandas AI would finally show you appropriate results. So when using Pandas AI, you have options to connect your data to different sources. For example, if you have data in your full database, we have a connector for that as well. If you have data in Snowflake, Databricks, if you have data in uh, Google Sheets form, Excel, or even in CSV form, you can use that as well. And for LLMs, you also have a variety of options here. You can use open source LLMs from Hugging Face. You can use OpenAI LLMs. You can use paid LLMs. You can also make use of free APIs, like we are going to use the Grok API through LangChain, and there are other options as well. You can use Llama, Gemini, and all of that. Next, okay, so now that we know that what is a data analytics agent, we know Pandas AI, we have knowledge about it as well. So let's see that how our data analysis agent going to work. Before we build our agent, let's understand that how it actually is going to work, right? Imagine that you have some data and you want to create a chart based on your data. So what you do is you would ask a simple question. For example, plot a bar chart showing GDP of countries by year. So that query, it's going the question is going to pass to Pandas AI. Pandas AI, what it's gonna do is behind the scenes, it's going to rip your request into a larger prompt. So what is that larger prompt? Well, basically, whenever we are working with large language models, what we do is we need to define a system rule, or we need to add some detailed instructions in order to configure the behavior of our LLM, or in order to get appropriate answers, right? So we don't have to worry about those instructions. Pandas AI is going to handle all of that for you. You just give it your question, and Pandas AI is going to add those instructions, and it's going to pass it to the LLM. And along with that, it's going to give some sample data to LLM as well. So it's going to provide a sample of your data, usually 5 rows of your table, to the LLM in order to help it better understand your data, the columns, and the structure of your data. So this way LLM generates the code based on your query and pass it to Pandas AI, and then Pandas AI runs that code on your data. And this way you would get your required results. It could be a text explanation, it could be a chart, or it could be a table. So one thing to notice here is that Pandas AI is getting data in form of Pandas data structures. So whichever data connector you're going to use, it's going to convert that first into Pandas data frame, and then it's going to run your code on that. Okay, so now that we know how our agent is going to work, let's jump into hands-on exercise and see this in action. Okay, so I hope now the notebook is visible. Could you confirm, Alishka?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay, so we are using Colab for our exercise today, and don't worry about the resources. You will get all the resources, the data link, and everything I'll be providing at the end. So let's start our exercise. First step that we are going to perform is to set up uh, the environment. So first we are going to install some libraries that are important for this exercise. So the major libraries we are going to use is obviously the Pandas AI and Launching Grok. Why are we using Launching Grok? It is to access our model through Grok API, right? So I've already installed these libraries. To save some time, you can move to the second step, which is loading the data, right? So you can download your data from Kaggle, or if you have any other data, if you want to use any Excel data, or any other data, you can download it, or you could use the connectors as well, right? So let's first load the data. I have my data saved at this path, so I am reading it using pandas. So let me tell you about the data. We are using the global AI market trend data from Kaggle. Let me show you. Yeah, so this is the data set that we are going to use. I'll be providing the link. This data set, it's about the job listings related to AI or data related jobs. So here you can see that each of the row, it contains a unique job. It contains unique job listing for us. So for example, you could see here it tells us about the job, that what's going to be the salary, what's going to be the employment type, company location, the name of the company, the uh, industry, and even the posting date, the application deadline, and all of that. It also provides some information about the requirement of the job. That could be the experience level required, or or the required skills, education required, experience level, and so on. Okay, so we'll be using that data set to test our agent. So the third step that we have is about setting up the LLM. So since we are using Quen 332B LLM, and we are going to access it using Rock API. So for that, you first need to define environment variable Rock API for uh, in order to set up LLM, right? So for that, you first need get your Rock API. So I'm just going to show you how you get your API. Right, so you can just simply go console.rock.com, and you have to sign up using your Google account or using your email, and you just jump to this API keys tab. Okay, it's taking a bit time. Yeah. So you can go to API keys tab and just click on create API key. You can name it as you want. Let's say so webinar, right? And then you would have to submit and it would show you your API key. So I suggest you that you copy your API key and save it somewhere, because it's just the one and only time you would able to see your API key. Uh, so it's better to save it, right? Then just copy the API key and move to our uh, notebook. So one option here is that it won't have to find your environment variable. Your Rock API, you can just define it as string here. Or the best option or the recommended way is to create one secret in your notebook. There's option in lab. You can just go this secret key. And you can add new string in the values. You can add your key, and in the name you can add name of your key. You can name it as you want, right? And when if you want to use that key, you have to toggle it so that your node would be able to access, right? I have already defined my keys, so I'm just going to access those. How you can access it? You can just access it. They have also given you the code that how you can access the keys, right? Just write user data dot get whatever the name of your key is. You can simply type that. So for me, it's API key, right? And then let's run it. Okay. So now we are done with three steps: setting up the environment, installing the modules, loading the data, and setting up the LLM. Now let's move to step number 4, which is preparing the agent. So Pandas AI, it provides us this function, agent, right? Where we can define our agent. So it's the important step where you would be where you are going to define all the configurations for your agent, and you'll be passing your data and all. Okay. So here first, I think you need is the data frame connect. We'll be defining it later, and the memory size. Okay, so it's not important that you it's not necessary to define the memory size, because by default it's already set to 3, which means that you can it would be your agent would be able to maintain the context for 3 checks, right? So I have set it to 5. You can set it to any number you want. You can provide brief introduction about your agent like this. And then we have configurations. So for configurations, there are a number of configurations. We'll be exploring it. We have to provide configurations in form of a dictionary. So let's see how you can do that. So here are few configurations. First is the LLM. You have to pass your LLM that we have just created. Then there are options like save logs. You can save the logs. There's also an option that if you want to show your logs in the console, so you can also toggle it to true. It's a great feature when you are testing your agent or when you are debugging your agent. Then comes save charts if you want to save your charts, and then it's a save charts path. So what it means, whenever you are going to ask your agent some questions where your agent is going to plot some charts, right? So it's going to save those charts at this location, export slash charts. If you want it to save those charts at some other locations, you can specify that as well. Then we have custom whitelisted dependencies. Okay, so by default, Pandas AI allows the LLM it allows the LLM to access or to use only few modules for writing the code. Whenever it's going to generate the code, it allows it to use only few libraries. These are the libraries. And I think they are also enough when you are working with data transformation or data analysis. But in case if you need to provide, if you need want to work with other libraries as well, so you can provide them this way, right? You can just provide them. For example, here this library is mentioned. And next configuration we have is enable cache. So you enable the cache in order to speed up the response time. Maximum retries, it's by default set to 3. So what it means is that actually Pandas AI agent, it uses the error correction framework. So whenever there is whenever it's unable to execute the code that's generated by the LLM, if there is an error, so it's going to make another call to the LLM and generate the code for you. So if for example you're working with some complex data, or you are asking some complex queries, so it's a good option that you can set it to like 5 or set it to 8. Then comes custom head. So you can pass a custom head to the LLM to avoid sharing potential sensitive information. Okay, so what it means, remember when I was discussing the workflow of our data analytics agent, I mentioned that the Pandas AI, it sends some sample data to the LLM so that it have some context about your data, right? But you might be working with some sensitive data and you do not want the LLM to use that data or to know that data. So what you can do in that case, you can provide it just a sample of 5 rows of your data. You can create sample data for your LLM to use it as context, right? Then comes the response parser. So by default, Pandas AI has defined the response parser. The output response formats are already set, but you have the option to define your own custom responses as well. For example, by default, Pandas AI, it saves your charts into this folder, export slash charts, right? But if you want it to like show you the charts instead of just saving it, you want it to show in the output, so you can define it. in the response parser option. So now let's define our configurations for the data agent. So first, we are going to make use of that response parser. What you need to do to create custom responses, let me show you. If you just go to Pandas AI, you would find so much help here as well. You can just go to custom response. It's taking some time. Let me quickly check again. Right. So by default, Pandas AI, it uses this response parser class where the output formats are defined. So what you can do is you can simply extend that class and override the specific function and you are good to go. For example, in this example, they have defined a custom format for data frame outputs. But in our case, what we want is we want to define a custom format for the charts. We don't want it to just save the charts. We want it to show us the charts as the response, right? So what you can do, you can simply copy this class definition and go back to our notebook and you can just use that class definition and instead of format data frame, because in that example they were defining custom format for the data frame, but we want it to define the format for the plot. Okay, so we will be overriding this function format plot, and what we want it is that we want it to return actually display the charts as a result. So I can just say display. I'm using the IPython library display and image, right? File name. Okay, and in the file name uh, we can just copy the path where our chart is going to be saved, right? And next, there are so many other configurations that we can set. Okay, just um, yeah, now we are good to go. Let's run this. Okay, so this way you can define the format for others as well. You can define the format for data frames, tables, and a string format as well. Okay, so now let's define our configuration dictionary. First we have is LLM. LLM, we have already defined the LLM. Then we have response parser. Okay, yeah. Okay, so for the response parser, we would have to pass the class because now we want it to use this formatting, right? What else we can do here? We can set the number of max retries. It's max retries. Make sure that the spellings are correct. Maximum retries, by default, it's four. Maybe we can set it to four. By default, actually, it's three. So we can set it to four or maybe five. What else we can do? We can also set enable cache. So what's yeah, we can by default it's true. We can set it to false. Just for now, I just want to show you that how you can configure these different options. Right now, the configurations are ready. What's next? We are left the data frame connector, right? So Pandas AI, we have the Pandas connector, which you can simply import and pass your data like this in the form of dictionary, the data that we have just loaded. And one more option we have here is that, uh, okay, so if you want your LLM to better understand your data, it's a good practice that you also provide it with some field description. Okay, whatever fields you have in your data, you can provide it some description about it. So, for example, also, if in your data there are some abbreviations or short forms, it's a good practice really to provide some context to your LLM that what are those abbreviations. Okay, so for example, here we have this S for small, M for medium, L large. We are using for company size. Similarly, for experience level and employee type, we have some abbreviations here. So it's best that you describe it to your LLM that what they are, right? Just run it and you can pass it to this connectors function. Now let's run this as well. Now we are ready to prepare our agent. We have the data frame connector, we have defined the memory size, description, and the configurations as well. Right. Okay, so now let's move. Okay, so there is this helper function. You can use we have assigned our agent. We have named it as agent. So what you can do is you can just type the agent.config and it would show you all of the configurations of your agent. At any point, if you want to check the configurations, you can simply use it and check the configurations. It's also showing those configurations that we haven't defined that are defined by default. For example, this verbose. Okay, so now let's do and these are some helper functions I have listed. We'll be using them later uh, while doing our exercise. You can also explore other functions as well. I'll be sharing the link of the library as well. Okay, so next we have is talk with your data. So first, what we are going to do is we are going to explore our data a bit. We'll be asking it that how many rows are there, some statistics about our data, and we'll be handling some inconsistencies of our data as well. So let's first ask it that how many rows are there, how many columns. So there should be 19 columns, yeah. So let's ask it about the statistics about the data. Now it should be able to test mean, average, standard deviation, these kind of statistics about our numeric data, and something frequency or top values for our non-numeric data, right? So meanwhile, it's loading. Let's see what we have next. Okay, we have the results now. Yeah. So here you can see, for example, for this, okay, for example, for this year's experience, we can see that the agent, it has given us the mean, median, and minimum or maximal values, also the count. Okay. So, because the years of experience, it was the numeric column, and we wanted to know the mean and standard deviation and all these values. Now, let's see for non-numeric if it was able to give us frequency or the top value. So, if we see this salary currency was a non-numeric column. So, let's see, yeah. So, it has given us the unique, the top, and the frequency statistics about the non-numeric columns. Now, you can later on explore the statistics furthermore. I'll be moving to the next prompt. Okay, so now let's ask our agent that if there are any missing values. So let's see. Okay, so in the job description, then we have some missing values about there are over 3,000. And for sales salary currency, we also have some missing values with a count of only 50. So I think we can handle the salary currency missing out for job description since it's not a very important column for us and the missing count is also high. So we can just drop this column. First, let's handle the salary currency. So for salary currency, what we can do is we know that salary currency it's going to be related to the company location. Whatever the company location is, the salary currency is going to be related to that. So let's ask our agent that what are the company locations for this null salary values. Wherever the salary currency is null, what are the company locations? So you'll see the company locations are France. It means that the salary currency only for France it's missing. So we can just I do ask the agent that what is the salary currency for France. So I'm asking the agent that please show me the salary currency for each location. Okay, so now you see that for France, it only has this. Okay, so you see for France, we only have this currency euro, right? And otherwise, we only have this null values. So it means that we can replace the nulls by euro, that is EUR. So we can ask our agent to impute the currency values EUR and apply the changes. So what it's going to do, it's going to apply the changes to the original data. It's not going to be just for this set. Okay, so now the changes have been applied, right? We can check it later and we can ask it to draw the discrepant characteristic for us. So now you see it has dropped the field for us. How we can know? You see there are only 18 columns now. Previously we asked when we asked the agent there were 19 columns. So now we have only 18 columns and that column is now removed. Previously we had this column and now it's removed and we have also handled the missing values for salary currency as well. So now, in order to check that how our data agent it can query data for us, let's look at this example. Uh, so, for example, I am finding a job and I have these requirements in my mind that I want a job in education industry and the job title it should be something like data engineer, analyst, or a data scientist. And I want a completely remote job, so remote ratio should be 100%. And education. My education, I had it bachelor's. The experience level is entry level. Okay, so before we start, we have this option, Pandas AI, that we can ask our agent to start new conversation. This is a function, start new conversation. So it clears the previous conversation for you, so the your agent would not have context about the previous conversation, right? You can use it whenever you are starting a new conversation. So I have listed all the requirements that I just mentioned. That the job title must be this, it should be remote, education, experience, and so on. So now we have, okay, so our agent provided us 5 job listings based on our requirements. So if you see that all of these jobs, they are 100% remote and they are all experience level. If you see, it's entry level. So you see, it was beneficial to give our agent some information about the field descriptions we gave. It was able to understand that by entry level, I mean EN. Remote ratio is 100%. Education required is bachelor, and the industry is education. So now I got some jobs that are related to my requirements. Now there are only 5 jobs. Let's say I want to change my requirements a bit. So I can ask my agent that there is some change in my requirements. Now I want the jobs that are that have remote ratio less than 100%. It's fine for me now, but the location then it must be but the location it must be China. Okay, I'm only willing to work in China. If the company location is going to be China, then okay, the remote ratio can be less than 100. And now I'm available to jobs that are also of any other industry other than education and keep the remaining requirements same. So now let's see. Yeah. So our agent has given us these job listings. If you have a look, you see that whenever the remote ratio it's less than 50, it's less than 100. For example, here. If the remote ratio is less than 100, the company location it's China. It's the company location, right? And the experience level it's same entry level and education level we mentioned, right? Let's check the education level. Okay, so now the industry. We asked if that industry could be any, so now we are getting jobs from any industry, and the education required it's bachelor that we asked it. So you see how easy it is, and since it maintains the context, so it became easier for us to even change to maintain the conversation and ask it follow-up questions as well. So there's also one more function in Pandas that's explain function. So you can ask. So what it does for you is that it shows you the thinking process of your agent. If at any point you are unsure about the answer, or if you want to debug that how the agent arrives at that result, so you can simply ask your agent. You can simply use that explain function. It would show you its whole thinking process, right? And then we have this use case of analyzing salary inside. So I've listed so many questions here and other use cases as well that you can later on explore it by your own. Let me just show you a few. So here our objective is to find the top paying job roles and see which companies are paying the best and see that which companies are paying the best and also analyze salaries by experience. So how the experience level or education level impacts the salary. So the first prompt I gave it is show the average salary grouped by experience level as a bar chart. So I mentioned clearly mentioned in the prompt that show me as a bar chart. So it has created a bar chart for me. For me. And now if I ask it to show me salaries grouped by education level as a table, I mentioned as a table, so it has shown me a table. Now, if I do not mention that as a table, I do not if I do not mention the format, let's see what happens. So for this prompt, I just asked it that list the top 10 job titles that have the highest average salary. So now it gave me a list of top 10 job titles that have the high average salary, and it gave me result in form of a table. So it selected the output format by its own. Whatever is the appropriate format, it would give you results that way. And if any at any point you want to see that what was the code that was generated for my uh, result, so you can also ask the agent to show you the last code. So it's a useful function agent dot last code, and it would show you the generated code. You can also use that code and try to uh, figure out that if it's correct or not. You can try to run it. And then there are so many other options, so many other prompts that I have listed. You can later on use this notebook and explore it further. Okay, I can give you these charts and so on. You can analyze the job duration, job application duration this way, the geographic insights you can get from our data. So there are so many other things that you can do. I'll be sharing this notebook so you don't have to worry about it. So let's go back to our slides. So I hope the slides are visible, right? So now we'll be concluding our webinar by discussing some importance of these analysis agents. So now that we have seen that how easy it is to build your own agent, let's conclude our session. So there are you see that how significant these agents are. The first thing is that it allows you to interact with your data in simple English language, natural language, which saves a lot of time and effort for you. So you can just ask questions in simple language and it can give you answers. You don't have to worry about the logic, the calculations, or anything, or writing code or scripts, right? So it saves up time, it increases your productivity, so you can perform other core functions more properly. It helps you give faster insights, and also since you are just interacting with your data in simple natural language, it also makes data accessible to all and everyone, whether it's non-technical users, technical users, or data professionals. So that's it for today's webinar. Yeah. So that's it for today's webinar. Thank you everyone for staying with me. I hope that now you have a clear perspective on how analytics agents and tools like Pandas AI are reshaping the way we interact with the data. And also, you might realize that these intelligent tools are not only simplifying analysis, they are making data exploration more accessible and enabling more people to make informed and data driven decisions. So now, I'll be taking any questions if you have.
Hello, Rimsha. So the questions are in the Q&A box, and I'm also gonna help you out in finding all the questions in the chat box because some of them are, lost in the chat. So they're mostly in the chat and they're in the Q&A box.
Okay, thank you, Rispa. Okay, let me check the Q&A box first. Okay, so one of the questions is that is it possible to use pandas AI on multiple data frames? Yes, there is an option. You can simply provide it a list of your data frames. I can show it to you. You can just go to pandas AI. Okay, at the place where we provided it our data frame, you can just provide a list. You can just form a list and provide other data frames as well, and it would be able to access them and relate them as well. And the next question we have is, okay, are there any considerations for handling sensitive information? Right. So, as I told you that the LLM, it's not going to take your data. What happens is that whenever you are going to query, you are going to give any query to the data, it's just going to process that request for you, and generate code for you. It will not take the your data. It's not passed to the LLM, okay? And the only sample data is passed. So if you have some sensitive information, what you can do is you can just give it a sample of data, right? You can create a sample of data that's like your original data, and you can just pass it as the custom head option that I showed for the configurations, okay? And PowerPoint video, I'm having a problem with Canva account. Okay, we'll be sharing the presentation in PDF format as well, so you can access it later on. Um, yes, of course, you can join the two data sets, or you can create new columns as well. Uh, you can explore that. You can just simply ask your agent to help you add rows or perform any of the data cleaning or the data transformation steps for you, right? The basic key here is that your prompt should be clear so that the agent is able to understand. Even if it's not able to understand, you can try to debug it, or you can ask the follow-up questions because it maintains the context as well. So yeah, it has. You can use Streamlit as well. Somebody asked that if we have to show the UI. So yeah, you can use Streamlit or any other options you can use. At the backend, you can use this code, and you can show the insights, the charts, the tables on that UI. For example, you can use Streamlit, you can use Flask or any other option for the backend to create the UI actually. Okay, what are the other options? Okay, I think the Q&A section, I think the Q&A part, the questions I had in the Q&A are done. Let me move to, let me check if there are any more questions. If you have more tables, and then, yeah, if you have more tables, Pandas AI agent is going to understand the relationship because obviously the data tables, they should be, aligned. There should be some ID, some related columns so that it would be able to understand, right? For example, if you're using a SQL database, then obviously you would have some more tables, and there would be relationship between those tables as well. So you could define that. So the agent would be able to understand that, and you can try to explore it further when you're going to use the notebook. Yeah, you will get the recording and okay, what are the costs? So there are no costs for this solution. The solution is free because Pandas AI is free to use, and Grok API is also free to use. Uh, yeah, so if you have any other LLMs in mind that you want to use, if you want to use paid models, stick to them as well. Um, and I have recently seen N8 9 is Pandas AI agent similar to N8 9? I would say they're a bit different because N8 9 it's a workflow automation tool, and Pandas AI it's more focused on natural language driven data analysis. So their purposes are quite different. You could say that. Let me see if you have some other questions. Yeah, you okay. Somebody asked that is it different from RAG? Yeah, it is different to RAG. Because in RAG you have some data and actually in RAG you are not asking your agent to generate code for your data. What happens is that whenever you are going to give it a query, it's going to generate code for you. Okay. In RAG, it's mostly that it retrieves your data and it generates the responses. But here you can give any table that you have. And okay, furthermore, somebody asked that can we have multiple data sources? Yes, you can have multiple data sources here as well. Okay, somebody asked, okay, there is no web option. You cannot give data from web, but maybe if somehow you can get data from there and download it as in an other format like CSV or Excel, so you can use that. Is it possible to enable agent? Yeah, it's possible to enable agent to access MySQL database. No, there is no risk that it could delete your data in the original database. It could just uh, work on the data frame that it's going to create from your data, like a copy of your data it would have. You could say that. Yeah, we'll be sharing the recording. Is it possible? Yeah. Okay. Is it possible to connect this agent? Yeah, it's possible to connect this agent to PostgreSQL as well. Um, I think we are done with the questions. I think there are some questions in the chat. I think let me just quickly go through the chat as well. Um, I think- yes, it supports multiple sources. Somebody asked it. I think there are no new questions. We have already covered them. Question. Okay, so when using Rock API, there is some limit for tokens, but you can but the limit is not too high. It's not the limit is not very small. You can just go to grok.com and explore different models. There are a list of models, and the limit is also there. So and the good thing is that it's free to use, so it's a great starter point for you when you are going to explore this pandas AI. And yeah, we'll be sharing the notebooks. What else? And about the privacy issues, so you don't have to worry about it because you see, some people are worried that about that their data is going to be shared to LLM. So it's not going to happen. The LLM we are using, it's just for generating the code, and your data would not be shared to LLM. You can just provide, as I already mentioned, that you can just provide sample data by yourself, and it would be used by the LLM to have some context about your data. Okay, some people are asking it again that if we have the support for web, okay, there's no support for web search currently in Pandas AI. So it actually focuses on structured data like CSVs or data frames. But however, if you can manually fetch the data using Python or anything, you can do it and then provide it to Pandas AI. So I think that's all from my side. I think the questions are covered.